The Call of the Wild. Part 3.
One day, a short, dark man came and looked at Buck. "That's a good dog," he cried. "How much do you want for him?" $300. "It's a good price, Perrault," said the fat man. Perrault smiled and agreed that it was a good price. He knew dogs, and he knew that Buck was an excellent dog. 1 in 10,000, Perrault said to himself. Buck saw money put into the fat man's hand, and he was not surprised when he and another dog called Curly were taken away by Perrault. He took them to a ship, and later that day Buck and Curly stood and watched the coast get further and further away. They had seen the warm South for the last time. Perrault took Buck and Curly down to the bottom of the ship. There they met another man, Francois. Perrault was a French-Canadian, but Francois was half Indian, tall and dark. Buck learnt quickly that Perrault and Francois were fair men, calm and honest, and they knew everything about dogs. There were 2 other dogs on the ship. One was a big dog called Spitz, as white as snow. He was friendly to Buck at first, always smiling. He was smiling when he tried to steal Buck's food at the first meal. Francois was quick and hit Spitz before Buck had time to move. Buck decided that this was fair and began to like Francois a little. Dave, the other dog, was not friendly. He wanted to be alone all the time. He ate and slept and was interested in nothing. One day was very like another, but Buck noticed that the weather was getting colder. One morning, the ship's engine stopped, and there was a feeling of excitement in the ship. Francois leashed the dogs and took them outside. At the first step, Buck's feet went into something soft and white. He jumped back in surprise. The soft, white thing was also falling through the air, and it fell onto him. He tried to smell it, and then caught some on his tongue. It bit like fire, and then disappeared. He tried again, and the same thing happened. People were watching him and laughing, and Buck felt ashamed, although he did not know why. It was his first snow. Buck's first day at Daya Beach was terrible. Every hour there was some new, frightening surprise. There was no peace, no rest, only continual noise and movement. And every minute there was danger, because these dogs and men were not town dogs and men. They knew only the law of club and tooth. Buck had never seen dogs fight like these dogs. They were like wolves. In a few minutes, he learnt this from watching Curly. She tried to make friends with a dog, a big one, although not as big as she was. There was no warning. The dog jumped on Curly, his teeth closed together. Then he jumped away, and Curly's face was torn open from eye to mouth. Wolves fight like this, biting and jumping away. But the fight did not finish then. 30 or 40 more dogs ran up and made a circle around the fight, watching silently. Curly tried to attack the dog who had bitten her. He bit her a second time and jumped away. When she attacked him again, he knocked her backwards, and she fell on the ground. She never stood up again, because this was what the other dogs were waiting for. They moved in, and in a moment, she was under a crowd of dogs.
To be continued.